Hi, my name is Energio and welcome to Louder with Energio, the podcast where we're very loud about the truth. I mean, we scream the truth louder than any lie that has ever been told or possibly will be told, right? If this is your first time here, I want to say a very big welcome. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a returning subscriber or listener, you are the realest MVP. So wherever it is that you're watching me from, I want to say welcome. Okay, thank you. I'm very glad that you're here on the podcast Today, we're going to be continuing from where we stopped at the last episode. We talked about the LGBTQIA plus community, and today we're going to take it further, but we're going to be talking about the transgender community in the LGBTQIA plus community. But before we get right into that, I want to encourage you to like, share, and please subscribe. Whatever platform you're listening or watching me from, I want to encourage you to like, share, and to subscribe. And I don't know if you noticed, but we now post on a bi-monthly or bi-weekly occasion. All right. So it means we're posting fortnightly. So every 2 weeks we put up an episode instead of just creating random content for you. Pardon me. We've decided to post every 2 weeks as opposed to every single week, and this is so that the quality of what we're putting out does not drop. All right, so thank you. Let's get right into it. So in the last episode we talked about the LGBTQIA plus community. That's a mouthful, right? It is a mouthful. We talked about the community and how they are not as inclusive as they say that they are. Today we're going to be touching upon the transgender community. I want to prefix this whole episode by saying that I know for a fact that there are people who suffer or who deal or combating gender dysphoria, and that it's a real thing. It's a real mental health issue. But I also do believe that this mental issue, this particular one, should also be treated like every other mental health situation. I don't know if you get that. So I wanted to start by by putting this out first, by saying this before we get into what we're getting into. In the most normal sense, the explanation of being transgender is will be someone who doesn't really feel like the gender that they were born into. So there are two genders, male and female, right? So a male person can say, oh, I don't really feel like I'm a man. I feel more like a woman. A lady can say, oh, I don't really feel like a woman, I feel like a man. I feel like that's my most true self. All right, so that's where the issue of transgenderism comes into play. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But even more so, when it comes to, let me say this first, just before I say the next thing that I'm about to say. This is a 2-part series. So if you watch this one and you don't watch the next one, you don't really get the entirety of what I'll be talking about. So I'm naming this 2-part series Pandora'S box. Who knows Pandora'S box? All right, yes, that I'm naming it Pandora'S box. And on Pandora'S box, in this 2-part series, we're going to be talking about what is a woman. What is a woman? And I never thought that there'll come a day where I'm going to sit down and be asking or be talking about a subject, what is a woman? And that will be the topic, and it's going to be a hot button subject in our society, or it's going to be a very big issue. I never thought that day will come, but it has come. Maybe not in Nigeria yet, and that's why we have this podcast. But in the US it's there, in the UK it's there. It's such a big deal now, right? It's such a big subject. What is a woman? Feminist, modern feminist, dare I say, cannot even answer what is a woman. So how are you a feminist if you do not know what a woman is? If you were to ask a lot of people in the world or in the Western world, what is a woman? So that they would not offend anybody, they would say, oh, a woman is anybody who identifies as a woman. But that's a circular answer in itself. It's like saying, oh, what is a cat? A cat is anything that identifies as a cat. That's a circular definition. Pardon me, it's a circular definition. You can't say a woman is anybody that identifies as a woman. The word woman should not repeat itself in the definition of woman. Do you understand? So it's so funny that we're here in the world right now, but I think that that's important because of the subject of transgenderism. This is very important. And the reason we're talking about it is because it has opened up a lot of things. That's why it's named, this series is named Pandora's Box, right? It has opened up a lot of things, a lot of issues in the world, and we're going to address it. All right. So as we're getting right into it, we're going to be touching on two things. What is a woman and the erasure of woman, because that's the problem that the transgenderism, we're talking about the problems, right? Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about what a woman is and the erasure of woman, or womanhood. So before we can define or adequately define what a woman is, let's talk about what a woman is not. Because once we eliminate what a woman is not, we can then talk about what a woman is, or we can see clearly to identify who a woman is. All right. So what a woman is not, or who a woman is not, or who is not a woman. Three different things, right? Or three different ways of saying the same thing. Someone who identifies as a woman. If you have to affirm your gender with drugs or hormone replacement therapy, HRT, then you're not said gender. If you have to affirm it, or go to a psychologist to say, oh yes, you're really a woman, or have to take drugs or cut off parts of your body, you're not a woman. You're not a woman. If you have to affirm and say, oh, I'm a woman, or if you say, I identify as a woman, you don't need to identify as a woman to be a woman. You're either a woman or you're not. So if you say, oh, I identify as a woman, you're probably not a woman. You do not need to identify as a woman to be a woman. I hope that you get that clearly. You can claim to be a trans woman. Yeah. You can claim to, but so long as you put the trans in front of it, you can claim to be a trans woman, but you will never really be a woman, because you're not biologically a woman. Your biological makeup is not that of a woman. It's not that of a female adult. I'm already giving you the definition for a woman, but okay, it doesn't matter so long as we're saying what needs to be said. So if you can be trans all you want, you can say that, but, and even if you're being genuine, if you're genuinely suffering from gender dysphoria or dealing with gender dysphoria, it doesn't take away from it. It doesn't take away from the fact that you are not a woman. Biologically, you're not a woman, and we cannot throw away biology. I didn't think that we need to say that, or that would get to a point in the world where we needed to say that, but now it has become very, very important to say that. You cannot ignore biology. Biology is real. It's a real thing. You cannot go about creating your own false biology to suit you. If you have to identify as a woman, you're not a woman. You can be trans, whatever you want to be. But if you're identifying as a woman, or taking hormone replacement therapy, or you've had to go under the knife, you're not a woman. Sorry, but not sorry. You're not a woman. It may ease your suffering to do all of those. Your suffering to go through all of those things. It may make you a little more confident in your body. In short, it could even make you look like a woman. But being a woman goes beyond looks or what is on the outside. All right, it goes right beyond that. Do we understand that? So if you have to identify as, if you have to take hormone replacement therapy, if you have to go under the knife to look like a woman, all of these things are important. And someone can argue and say, oh, what if a woman wants to look more feminine? That's my point. There's biology that you can't throw away. It's not just about surgery. That's why I named all of these things. A woman will not need to take HRT to be a woman in the first place. All right. So if you have to do all of these things, then you're in fact not a woman. So let's get into what a woman is, or who a woman is. I've told you what a woman is not. Let's talk about what a woman is. Number one definition. I'm going to give you 3 definitions and maybe an extra if I'm feeling so kind. So what is a woman? The first definition, I'm referencing my notes in case you keep seeing me looking down. It's because I'm actually referencing my notes so that I don't go off topic or I don't ramble on, and I stay on course. Yes, because that's what we do. All right. So what is a woman? Number one, and I'm going to say it that way. Number one, A woman is an adult female human being. Again, an adult female human being. A child female human being would be a girl. So a woman is an adult female human being. And I know that there are many dictionaries online and in, oh my God, I think this is an episode of I didn't think we would be saying this today or in our day or in our time or in the world at all. But I guess we're here now. There are a lot of dictionaries and definitions that are changing online, and they're saying, oh, a woman is anyone who identifies as a woman. If you go online, you see them, I can assure you. But this is the definition of what a woman is: an adult female human being. And I want to give props to every dictionary and every person who has the job of giving definitions online or in dictionaries, who have stayed true to the definition of what a woman is. Thank you. God bless you. Honestly, thank you. So, number one, a woman is an adult female human being. Number two, a person born with XX chromosome. So remember how I said, oh, you can do all of the plastic surgery, you can go under the knife for all you care. You can look like a woman on the outside, but there is biology that you cannot avoid, that you cannot change. So a woman is someone born with two X chromosomes. A man, on the other hand, is born with XY chromosomes. And I also know that there are cases where women are born with more than two chromosomes, and but that's an exception to the rule. That's not the rule. That's not how women are made. And in many situations, you see those women, they don't say they are men. Yeah, they don't identify as men. So a woman is someone born with two X chromosomes. To the third definition, number three, a person born with female reproductive organs. A person born with female reproductive organs. Again, I stand the chance of sounding like a broken record, but I never thought that I would have to define this or have to say it over and over again. That only a woman, only someone who has female reproductive organs is a woman. But here we are in the 21st century, in 2023, debating whether someone who doesn't have female reproductive organs can be a woman or is a woman. How did we get here? How did we get here in the world at all? This is crazy. It's really crazy. Some people may say, what about a woman who cannot give birth? Well, she still has female reproductive organs. She has fertility issues, but she has female reproductive organs. If all was right, she would be able to reproduce. She would be able to carry a baby. All right? Infertility or fertility issues or something standing in the way does not change that. And if you say, she doesn't have female reproductive organs, which is something that you most definitely never see in this world, she still has XX chromosomes. All right? So we cannot ignore the biology of it all. A woman is an adult human female, someone who was born with two X chromosomes, and someone who has female reproductive organs. I'll give you one more for free. A woman is the opposite of a man. The opposite gender of a man. And I'm not even going to get into the argument of whether there are multiple genders. There are two genders. I've said it and I've said it. I said what I said. That's what it is. We cannot ignore biology. We cannot go about lying to ourselves and making money or playing off of the mental ailments of people. But that's a subject for another day. In short, that's a subject for the next episode. Why am I even saying let's touch upon it later on in the episode? Let's touch upon it now. Let me make that my first point. I think it's laughable that modern feminists cannot define what a woman is. I genuinely think it is. You're feminine and you're a feminist and you're fighting for women's rights, but you cannot define what a woman is. Or I also think that it's laughable that they fight for they fight against the patriarchy. They fight the patriarchy, but then they agree that biological men who simply identify as women, even those that have put no effort into looking like a woman, is a woman. Like they've not done surgery. They obviously look like men. But then once they say I identify as a woman, they put on a skirt, they put on one skimpy top, they grow out their hair or wear wigs, even with their facial hairs still intact, with their build. They'll tell you, oh, I identify as a woman. And so modern feminist jumps with them and say, yes, go girl, you go queen. Sorry if I sound angry. It's because I am a woman, all right? So it is very, very annoying. I'm very passionate about it. Anybody would be. Everybody should be. But it's crazy. It's mind-boggling that the same people that say they're fighting the patriarchy, modern feminists, it's laughable. It's crazy. Quite honestly, for a lack of a better word or better way to put it, it's crazy that these so-called feminists who are fighting against the patriarchy are some of the first people to jump and say, yes, queen, go girl, to a man, many of whom have put no effort at all. They've not even done the barest minimum, and they accept them as women. I guess that's another win for the patriarchy, the so-called patriarchy that they are fighting. Most so-called feminists stand behind these so-called men as they take awards and awards in various fairs and even in sport away from women who deserve them, even after all the many years of work that had to have been put in for us to get here. So women now have their own sports, they have their own awards, but now transgender women, so basically biological men, are taking, oh my God, oh Jesus, they are taking the opportunities that women are supposed to have. Biological men are taking it away from them because they identify as women, because they identify as transgender women. So they'll tell you that there are no biological differences between a man and a woman. Our wingspans are different. Our lung and our heart capacity, in short, the size of our heart, different. So of course, if you run with a man, if you run a race or sprint with a man, a healthy man, might I add, because there are cases of unhealthy men who can, in short, an almost unhealthy man would still beat a lady in a race, would still beat a woman at sports. At sporting events. So we see men, biological men, taking awards, taking positions from biological women in sport, in award shows, all of these things, taking roles even in movies from women. And we worked so hard to get here in the first place. And now it's gone. Yet the feminists are supporting them, right? Yeah. The womanhood is being slowly erased. And they are standing by and watching. I guess that should explain to everybody where their heads are at, where their minds are at, and how much of a hypocrite they really are. Another problem that it brings up is the fact that biological men are being thrown in the same prisons as women because they claim to identify as women. Many of them happen to be registered sex offenders. So, you see in the US, for example, many men now who are in prisons, and you know there are female prisons and there are male prisons, or at least they are separated. But many men are identifying as women so that they'll be thrown or they'll be put in female prisons. In many cases, many of these men are already registered sex offenders. They are already registered sex offenders, yet they are being thrown in a prison full of women. It's I guess it comes as no shock that women are ending up pregnant, raped by these men, these so-called women. that identify as women, quote and unquote. It comes as no shock. This is another problem that it has raised. Women cannot be safe. Beyond even the prison situation, now women do not have safe spaces anymore because men are going into women's spaces. Men are asking that women do not look shocked or that they are not scared when a man comes into a female bathroom. That they are not horrified that there is a man in their space. Women are losing all the spaces that are theirs. They can't feel safe anymore. And as a woman, it hurts. It's really painful. It's really painful. Another thing, point from the Erasure of Woman is the new word cisgender. Cis women, CIS. So there is this idea that is being used to, or this word that is being used to erase women. So these people in these communities, the very crazy ones, let me say this, that there are sane people who know that, there are sane transgender people who know that you cannot ignore biology. They know that for sure. They're not even going to argue it. Because if there is no biological sex, why are you transing in the first place? Riddle me that. If there is no such thing as biological sex, if you were not born a woman or a man, why do you need to change? Why do you need to change your gender? If gender is a social construct, why do you need to change it? If it is not real, if it was assigned and not observed, because that's another thing that they say. They say, oh, the doctors assigned gender. Gender is not assigned. It is not assigned in any way. Gender is observed. We know who a male child is and who a female child is at birth. It's the same way that you do not need, by looking at your cats or your dogs, you know which one is female and which one is male. But I just wanted to say that I know that there are sane trans people out there. I still don't support it, but there are sane people out there. But there is just this handful of people who have decided that there is a term called cisgendered. So if you're biologically a woman, you're a cis woman. If you're biologically a man, you're a cis man. And that's such an offensive term to define a person by. I want to say I'm offended because they're first to say, oh, I'm offended. I'm offended. I am a woman and I am offended that I have to be called. I'm not a cis woman. I am simply a woman. And it irks me. It irks me to my core. It irks me. The term cis woman, cis man, or specifically today, as we talk about what is a woman, cis woman, is just a term to erase women. And to make us nothing more than cis women. The values or what makes us women, they're trying to take away. All right. And so they now call us cis woman. All right. Another point would be that I know I said that being called a cis woman irks me, but I think that this one probably takes the point. Irks me even more is the fact that these so-called trans women, these so-called women, people who identify as women, are making a caricature of womanhood. They play dress up. It's so crazy that many of them men would, for example, Dylan Mulvaney, I can't pronounce his name right now, a trans woman, and I do this air quotes because trans woman. I mean, this person, after detailing, he just a few weeks ago clocked 365 days. He started on TikTok doing days of girlhood. So day one, he wrote a scathing email that he could not send. He bought clothes that he could not afford. Is that what a woman is? We don't see our minds. Is a woman someone who buys clothes that they cannot afford? Is a woman who sits, someone who sits somewhere and just cries? Is that what we are? Is that what we've been reduced to? Our feelings, hormones? Is that all that we are? Are we not more than that? Back to the subject of Dylan Mulvaney. While detailing his days of girlhood, a grown adult man, detailing his days of girlhood. If that doesn't creep you out, I don't know what else will. Not even womanhood, girlhood. Plain dress up, lying to himself that he's a girl. He said he has always fantasized about being a girl, and I guess that very much covers what this is. It's a fantasy for them. It's a game of dress up. It feels like they're playing dress up. Back to Dylan Mulvaney. A few hundred days into his days of girlhood, he got the opportunity to sit down and interview the president of the United States. This same man, biological man, might I add, got a deal from Tampax, a tampon company. He got a deal with them. Where is he going to put the tampon? Where is he going to put them? He doesn't even know how to use them. And the problem with this is that there are a lot more people who are following in his steps, because I guess when you do things and then you gain popularity, people learn and say, oh, I also want this stuff that this person has. And so they join in the lie. They join in the caricature. They join in playing dress up and lying. So it has come to the point where men are putting tomato puree up the place where the sun does not get to say, oh, I get my period. You can't get your period if you're not a woman. All right, it's plain and simple. You cannot. You don't have the organs to do that. All right. So you see them playing dress up. If you go back to watch Dylan Mulvaney, you should find it offensive. I don't even want to go into it. I don't want to go into it so that this episode does not run longer than it's already running. Another thing is in the subject of taking opportunities, there is what's his name? Leah Thompson, a biological man that identifies as a woman with his male organs still intact. You could still see that. This is such an emotional episode to film. It's draining. He's a swimmer, and while swimming as a man, he was number 200 and something. I wonder why they are still counting. If we're getting to 200 or we're getting to 100 in the first place. Came from number 200 and something. And these are the people that will say there is no biological difference between a man and a woman, by the way. People would still argue this. And then came into female swimming, said he's trans. You could still see his bulge, if you know what I mean. He changed to nothing. He's taller, way taller than every other woman there. And he destroyed female swimming records from number 200 and something. Someone who was number 200 and something in male swimming joined female swimming and destroyed records. Like made a mess of the records, beat them back to back. Yet there's no physical difference, right? There's no biological difference, right? Okay, I see. I see clearly. I can see very clearly. They're taking away opportunities from women. So there are women who have labored. He also shares the same locker room as these girls that he swims with. The girls on his team. Shares the same ones. So no matter how much a lady works to become good at her craft, at her sport, she will never really match up to that man. Opportunity taken away already. Probably will not get the scholarships that she needs. Opportunity taken away already. Can we talk about the new owner of Miss Universe, a biological man who is now, quote and unquote, a trans woman? This is crazy. And slowly but surely, or very slowly, And if we do nothing about it, maybe not surely, but if we do nothing about it, women are being erased on a daily. Feminists of old, or the first wave of feminism, or the good kind of feminism, because I don't know how to define it, fought so that women could have a say, so that women can do the things that they need to do. But now we find, so that women can have similar rights to men, they can have their sport, they can have their own things, they can have their own spaces, they can do things despite their gender. We find now that that's being destroyed and that's being taken away, and that everything that was labored for is being taken away because some men somewhere have decided that they are women as well. And because there are people who know they are going to gain relevance by keying into these companies, enterprises, conglomerates, whatever you call them. People who have money, they know they are going to make a lot from it. So they feed into this, they buy into it to stay relevant. Social justice warrior, virtue signaling. They are virtue signaling so that they stay relevant. But I know that you're not going to sit down and watch this happen as women are being erased. Talking about the owner of Miss Universe, trans woman, a biological man, saying, oh, this is for women everywhere. It's not for women everywhere. It's for the same reason that a man won a female pageant. A whole man doesn't look good, doesn't even look like a model, does not look like someone that should be in a pageant in the first place. And I'm not body shaming. That's far from what I'm doing. Won it with his very masculine voice, looking nothing like a woman, won a female pageant. Let that sink in. Women are being erased, and I guess that it's a win for the patriarchy. But this is one of the problems that transgenderism has brought about. It has opened Pandora's box. And in the next episode, I'll go further to talk about how deep this is and how much of a big issue it is. And I'll try to round this series up in the next episode. So watch out for that. Watch it. Don't forget to give this video a like. Don't forget to give this episode a like, a share. Consider subscribing. I'm very exhausted from filming this because it hurts so much. And by the way, if you're wondering what a woman is or who a woman is, I am a woman. I do not have to identify as a woman. I do not have to bend to what the patriarchy is in my day, to the men that have decided to take my place as a woman or erase me as a woman. I am a woman. You know if you're a woman. And I wonder how these people sleep at night anyways. I wonder how I honestly wonder. I wonder how they sleep at night. But I guess the money and the fame and everything that they get from it is enough to tell them to keep going, even in the face of their apparent mental health issues that are not being dealt with. All right. Thank you for watching this episode. Until the next episode, this is Louder with Energio.